We're back at the Woody Hayes Athletic Center from the Columbus Dispatch. Joey Kaufman. I'm joined by Bill Rabinowitz. We heard from Ryan Day, quarterback C.J. Stroud, safeties coach Perry Eliano during interviews on Tuesday. Bill, I guess we got to learn a little bit more on the status of Jackson Smith-Njigba, but not really a ton.
Yeah, C.J. Stroud said it was a hamstring injury. Ryan Day didn't want to kind of specify it, but C.J. Stroud did.
A little bit of confirmation.
But Ryan Day said that Jackson Smith-Njigba is not going to play unless he's 100%, and Ohio State's playing Arkansas State this week. They're not going to need him. So my hunch is that he won't play, but if he's healthy, he'll play.
That's kind of reading the tea leaves. What you think they're going to take a cautious approach with Jackson Smith-Njigba. I think they would like to have him there, even though it's Arkansas State, because he's somebody who makes everybody else in the field better. He's going to command a lot of attention from a defense. That is going to help out a lot of other receivers on the outside, build a connection with C.J. Stroud. But you're right, it's a team you're favored to beat by 44 points. You don't rush back your star receiver when you're going to play Arkansas State this week and Toledo the next week. This is a tune-up stretch of the schedule before Wisconsin comes back to the Horseshoe at the end of the month, and you want to make sure your star players are right before the Badgers come.
The other piece of news, I guess, is that, I didn't know this, I noticed it Saturday night. I didn't see him, but Luke Whippler apparently left with a boot on his foot. Ryan Day didn't say much about his status, but if he can't play, Matt Jones will slide over from right guard, or Jacob James might play. So, again, something to watch for later in the week.
And Julian Fleming, who was also on the availability report pregame, he was listed as a game time decision. He did not play on Saturday against Notre Dame. Ryan Day said he tweaked something earlier in the week. He did go through warm-ups and looked like he was going to try to give it a go, but ultimately was not able to play. That's the other thing, too, that sort of colors things. And not only did they miss Jackson Smith-Njigba, but Julian Fleming didn't play. Cam Babb didn't play. So their receiver group is not deep at the moment in terms of the available bodies and the available returning bodies.
That's why Xavier Johnson was in the game. But Xavier Johnson, as we saw, they've had a lot of confidence in him. A former walk-on, he made some big plays, and even after the touchdown, he made a nice tackle on the kickoff return. So they have faith in the guys that they have. But yeah, they are depleted right now.
I think just also big picture takeaways from today, and I think we thought about it a little bit after the game, how relieved Ryan Day seemed in his post-game press conference after Notre Dame, smiled and just seemed like he was able to kind of take a deep breath and exhale. He was asked how he felt about the game, and he also used the word relief.
Yeah. Well, there's no question. And he was asked a question about, are you glad you had Notre Dame as an opener or versus later in the season? And he said, he asked if you'd asked me Friday afternoon, I said, it's a terrible idea. No, I think it's a great idea because it's over with. So, yeah, there's no question. They had this game circled on their calendar ever since it was made. All off season, this is the game. And so one of the tests this week is, how do they play for a game that isn't that? I mean, this is not Arkansas. This is not the Razorbacks. This is Arkansas State, the Red Wolves. And they were 2-10 last year. This is probably the easiest game on the schedule.
I think so. They do bring a high influx of transfers and some guys who came from the Power 5 level. One of their starting guards came from Ole Miss, but you're right. They were 2-10 last year. Butch Jones, the former coach of Tennessee, is in Cincinnati, is doing a rebuild. Probably didn't rebuild over the course of one off season, so you would think they should be all right.
Their running back is Brian Snead, who was here, left under not ideal circumstances a few years ago. So there will be a Buckeye flavor here, and we should point out Rob Harley is on their coaching staff. He's the great nephew, I believe, of Chick Harley.
He was a former walk-on.
And played here as well. Yep.
But that's sort of where things stand with Ohio State. It just feels like the overall mood for them is pretty good. Obviously, having beaten a top 5 team in week 1, and I think they know they have a big win in the bag already, which is huge. They've been tested, and they know at the end of the year when the selection committee looks at them, they already have one pretty good data point for their resume.
Right, and so there were a lot of good things that came out of the game. Obviously, the biggest was winning. but the fact that they won kind of in a gritty way, that they used the run game, that the defense played pretty much lights out. But as Ryan Day said, the test of this team is this competitive stamina, competitive excellence, and playing well every week. Because you only get 12 cracks at this in the regular season. And again, I think Ohio State could play pretty poorly and still win this game. But you want to set a standard and establish a standard.
Well, I think what he doesn't want is he doesn't want a situation where they spent all their emotional capital trying to prepare for a season opener, trying to prepare for a top 5 matchup in front of a huge crowd at the Horseshoe, and beating a top 5 team and just being spent for the weeks after that. I think they want to build on this one. As good as it was for them to be the top 5 team, you don't want that to be the high point of your schedule. There's some things for them to work on. The chemistry in the passing game, certainly that stands out as one of them. And now's a great chance where you have Arkansas State and Toledo to really fine-tune some things.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of where it stands right now.
But that about covers it from the Woody on Tuesday as the Buckeyes prepare for Arkansas State on Saturday.